Join me back on the show, Mehmosh Raza, the Renegade. What's going on, man?
We
Welcome to
back.
Kumite
We
Radio.
back. Oh yeah, I love this shit. I love this shit. Kumite Radio. Represent. Represent.
For real.
Yeah. How's
Well,
it
we
going?
talked, a few months back before your fight at Rebel FC 7. You got the split decision win over Igor Griskiv
Yeah, it's
in
a tough one.
Shanghai. Your intentions were
Yep.
to finish the fight. How tough was your opponent, and what did you get out of that fight?
Well, he was one tough guy, man. Like fuck. I remember he came on strong in the first round, and thank the referee. Salute to that guy because he didn't stop it when he shouldn't have stopped it, to be honest. But like I stuck in there and I started like because I have this thing. I think I tend to start slow. So that's something I got to change. I can't wait. I didn't get the finish, but I was pretty close in the last round. I got that little arm triangle in there, but it would have been sick if I got it though, because I said I wanted to submit the guy, but I'm happy with it because at the end of the day, a win is a win, right? Shit ton of things I had to learn there. Like, you just look at the first round. It's like an encyclopedia of like mistakes that I made, things I need to work on. But man, it was a good one. It was a good one. He's a tough opponent, so I'm glad to get that win.
You mentioned the first round. Before the fight, you told me you believe you have a bigger heart than your opponent. Did
Oh
that
yeah,
play a big factor in that fight?
definitely, man. That's the one thing a lot of people told me after the fight. It's like, "Oh, kid, you got heart." I'm like, man, I don't want to be in that situation though. But I remember all of it. I was like, he kept hitting me in the same spot right in the sternum. And like after the fight, some of my friends they just joked around with me like, "Oh, yeah, I think you need to do more crunches." I'm like, dude, the guy aimed for the same spot like 4 times. This guy's been practicing that shit. It hurt, but it's part of the game. You can't stop. You got to keep going.
After the fight, most fighters after they win, they dedicate the fight to their family, their friends, of course, their supporters. You dedicated the fight to the Pakistani army and the innocent victims of terrorism. How important is
Yeah,
it for
man.
you to be vocal against terrorism?
It's so important to me. It's important, because I'm out here. I'm living in China. I'm fighting. These guys are in a fucking battle zone. They're there every day for us. And then there's all these guys, these victims. They have their businesses. They have their families. They have their children who are growing up in these areas where they don't have what we have. They don't even have they may not even have clean water and good food, and that's all because of these terrorists. So for me, it was so important. Like these guys, these are the unsung heroes in my opinion. You know, like they're out there every day. We don't even know their names. You know, maybe there's like 50 or 100 or 200 people who know my name, and then there's one guy out there who's protecting a country, and nobody even knows this guy. Man, that's something big. That's something big for me. That's something big, and especially against such a great cause. These guys, these terrorists. Fuck, man.
I'm glad you are putting some light into it and showing people or telling people, notifying people what's going on, man. It is good to
Doing my
kind of
best, man.
represent for the soldiers, and it's
Oh
almost
yeah.
every country. It's not even just Pakistan. It's like the U.S.
Yeah,
soldiers,
not a
countries
yeah.
all over the world, right?
All over the world, all over the world, all these people, all these guys, all the soldiers that are working towards this one cause, man, salute to them. They deserve it.
July 28th, your next fight, Glory of Heroes
August.
33. You took on the
Yeah,
former
yeah, yeah.
Legend FC Bantamweight champion. Before the fight, you had a difficult weight cut, but you made it. Could you go into
I've
detail
made it.
about what happened with that situation?
Oh God, so it's one thing, the guy. Nobody sees this, right? It happens behind closed doors, and like everybody's in their rooms, like all pruned up and shit. Now with me, I never had a serious issue cutting weight and making weight, but this time it was different. This time it was fucking hell, man. It's like the most pain I felt in my life, and that's because I didn't have the facilities I usually have. So there was no sauna and there was no bathtub. And I remember the night before, like the next day I had to cut weight all day. And the night before, at night, I like to start, a little bit. And I asked them, do you guys have a sauna? Do you have you have a pool area or whatever? And they said, no, we don't. And I was kind of like, oh shit, now what do we do? So I basically, the cut for me is not difficult, I told you, but I basically put on a sauna suit and I did pad work and I cut about, let's say, I cut about 7.5 kg. Now that was torturous for the body and the mind because I did it all through like intense workout, no water, no nothing, and I was just sweating it out, and it was just exhausting on my body. It was taxing on my body and my mind. And then I got to a point where my body just stopped sweating. I felt really weak and shit. My body stopped sweating, and I was 200 grams over at this point. And I called the promoter and I told him, dude, listen. And we were meant to leave for the venue for the weigh-ins, for the official weigh-ins at 9 in the morning. And the official weigh-ins were to start at 10 o'clock. And I told the guy, I was like, dude, you need to come to my room. And he's like, oh, I can't do that right now. I'm busy. I said, okay, well, I am 200 grams over. And he said, oh, just run and this and that. And I just said, yeah, okay, okay. But the thing was, I was pretty done at that point. Like I hadn't decided. I think my body had decided that you're done cutting weight. I think you cannot do it. So we got to the venue and I missed weight the first time, but we did it. You know the whole thing. You stare down, and the guy said, "Okay, you have 2 hours to cut weight." And I said, I literally, I thought, maybe I can't do it, but I stood on. He said, "Let's check your weight." I stood on the scale. So before I left the venue, I was actually 400 grams over. When I stood on the scale, I was 200 grams over. When I saw that I was 200 grams over, I was like, okay, fuck, let's do it. I just started running in the sun and nothing was happening because there was no sweat. There was nothing happening to my body, no perspiration. And then my coach said, stop, let's go to the barber because I have a shit ton of hair. I'm a hairy man. So we went there and I had my whole body shaved, my legs, my arms, my beard, my head. We came back and I made weight. And it was just relief is what I felt. It was immense relief. And I tell you what, so much pain. Like that's one thing that I would say to any fighter, like if you do not have the facilities, if you know like it's gonna be a difficult cut, do not do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. If that's the way it is, don't do it because it'll affect your performance. I know that your brain, you have to be sharp in there. You have to see the opportunities. And if you're not 100% there mentally, then it's all in the head. You have to get out of your head to go in and perform well. So that's one thing that I've learned that I cannot do again. It's a learning curve.
For sure.
So, but shit, man, that was fucking crazy. It was a ride. It was a crazy ride because like at one stage I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. And for me, it's a big thing. If I see somebody miss weight, then I'm like, oh, fuck that guy, And then I made it, but like with a huge lesson, like it was sort of like God saying, you did it, but don't do it again, sort of thing. So
Definitely.
yeah, that's how it is. That's how it went. It was a tough night, but
Well,
okay.
the next day you had to go in and face probably the most accomplished fighter that you have faced so far in your career, and it didn't
Yeah.
go your way. Do you
Yeah.
think that the weight cut had a major effect on your performance?
I do. I do. I was telling you this earlier. First, I wouldn't admit it. I would say like, no, the weight cut, that's my issue. Like I shouldn't put the fight on the weight cut. And then after a couple of days, Marcio said to me, he's like, brother, you have to sit down and listen to me. And he said, listen, man, like if you have the facilities, if you know you can do this, then okay, that's fine. But here we knew beforehand that this is how it's gonna be. I think that this is what happened. Number one. Number two, there were issues with the hydration, but like that's not it. It's just a weight cut, to be honest. So it's definitely that's what it is because it's taxing not only on your body but on your brain, man. And if your brain is not 100%, how are you going to deliver? You know, I mean, if you're cutting weight, like I said, if you have the facilities, if you have everything that you need, then it's okay. But cutting all that weight in the sauna suit, hitting pads. After a while, you don't even hit pads correct. You're like, your hands are like by your waist and you're literally just moving back and forward like a freaking zombie, man. Like, nobody wants to see that. If somebody saw me hitting pads for the last couple of kg, they'd be like, this dude's a fighter? Seriously? You can hardly throw a punch, you know? It's just, it was terrible. Don't do it.
It almost reminds me of that video of Darren Till when he was trying to make
Basically.
weight, and they were giving
Yeah.
him up to hit pads. But when you saw him hit the pads, it's like, who is this
It
guy?
was, yeah, it's like that Darren Till, that's the guy who knocked out all those guys? No. And that's what it was, you know, because there were certain points, man, I wasn't like, I, I wasn't, I know I wasn't there mentally 100%. Like, you know, maybe I was, you know, looking around for shit. And then this is stuff that Marcio told me after. He's like, man, you weren't in good shape. So I've learned my lesson, you know, that's one time and one time's enough. But that's the thing, we're human beings. This is how we learn. It's so bad. We're so stubborn, you know. We don't learn until we get kicked in the balls and we're like, okay, how about we do something different now? So now it's different.
Now it's
Uh,
different. You're moving forward. You got a big fight coming up, right?
I got a big fight coming up. I'm
Big
excited.
fight. You know, you're scheduled to face Adonis Sevilleno for the
Yep.
featherweight title on August 26th for
Yes,
Aspera
sir.
FC Asia in the
Yep.
Philippines.
Yep.
How did this fight come together?
So I went back after the fight against Ji Xian, and it was driving me nuts. And it was sort of like this. So this promotion, Aspera FC is from Brazil, right? And they were having their inaugural show in Asia, and I just got the opportunity, man. Like I don't even like, you know, some things happen you don't really know about them. It's just like, whoop, you want to do this? And I was like, fuck yeah, man, let's go. And this the last, like I said, the last fight, it was driving me crazy. You know, I want to get back in there now, and I got this. Gonna go to war. Time to hunt. You know, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be a good experience. I know that whatever happens. So this is what
Adonis,
it's all about. Yeah.
Adonis, what do you know about him? Have you studied him? Have you looked him up?
Yeah, I have. I have. I've done a little bit of stalking. You know, uh, he's Filipino, so you can expect the boxing, right? Uh, I I believe so. I believe I will have the reach advantage. That's one aspect. Another thing is, again, I believe I have superior wrestling, superior grappling, and I can keep him at the end of my reach. So looking to whoop him, whoop him good. So you know, that's how it is. Boxers, you know, boxers. That's what they are. He's gonna have to do something because like otherwise it's gonna be a tough night for him.
You're going into his country, basically
Yeah,
his town. His people are
yeah.
going to be in the crowd, but you're kind of used
Oh
to
yeah.
that. You're used to that.
That's yeah. That's how it's always been. You know, and you know it's a little bit more important for me though. I gotta tell you this one because I fought in the Philippines once before, and that did not go my way. So when I got this, I was like, oh man, this is like this is what I want. You know, this is good. So I'm going back there. So we're gonna avenge this. We're gonna avenge this loss, inshallah. I'm looking forward to it, you know. And the first time round it was kind of weird because I didn't even have a corner. I flew out alone, and just maybe it shouldn't have been the way it was, but now it's different. Now things are different. So, and that was right at the start of my career. I remember it was maybe my second pro fight. It was against Giore Arao. So we're going back.
So you have some added incentive for you
Oh
to
yeah,
go into the Philippines and get this
yeah,
title because of
yep.
basically your first professional loss was in the Philippines. So you want to bring that back and
That's true.
be on top, right?
Yeah, that's true. It was my first professional loss was in the Philippines. I was younger. I was more naive. I made mistakes. I went alone. Now things are different. Now I'm a different person. Now we're going in to whoop ass in the Philippines, get this back, bring it back, you know. So that's got me pretty excited too.
Marcio Andrade, teammate of
Yep,
yours, one of your coaches. How big of an
yep.
influence has he had on your improvement?
Oh man, tons. Cause he's also my roommate, you know, and he's my coach, my training partner, and this guy, like, he's got all this knowledge, man. And he's a black belt. He's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well. He's got wicked striking, wicked boxing. So I'm constantly sort of like absorbing all this stuff from him, you know, with either it's work related, like, you know, training related, or it's just other stuff, you know, like just life stuff. So it makes me not only because like if I think if you're a better fighter, you're a better person. So I think it goes both ways. And this guy, he's sick, man. Like technically amazing, great guy too, great guy as well, you know. But like, it's amazing for me to be able to be around this sort of a guy, you know, great presence, high level, you know. So I'm just absorbing all of it. I'm always constantly like a freaking sponge, you know. So it's good for me. That's all I can say. It's so crazy. So actually the first time I met him was in Brazil, but the thing was he came to pick me up from the airport, and then I was to go to a different city. So that was my experience meeting him. He came, he didn't know a word of English. Like he did not know a single word of English, right? And he came and he messaged me saying, "Hey, bro," and like blah blah blah. He picked me up from the airport. I went to Feira de Santana. I stayed there for about a month, but in between I came back to Salvador with Professor Villami, and then I met him again because he's Professor Villami's he's a black belt under Professor Villami, right? And they're like really good friends. They're like brothers. So I only trained with him once there. I sparred with him. Uh, he whooped me, you know. That's how it was, and that was a long time ago, you know. And then afterwards, you never know. You didn't like. This is how life is in MMA, like you said. We end up in China. Now he's my roommate. Now he's one of my best friends. Now we're training together every day, living together every day, and the guy knows English now. So I'm not the only one who's been improving. He's learning from me too. So there's that. There's that.
That's, you
So it's
know, that's a
crazy.
beautiful thing, man. It's a beautiful thing that
Yeah.
you guys can meet that way and then end up in your situation right now in China, helping each other out and also helping the Chinese fighters too, man, at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah, man. These guys, like I said the first time, if you remember, these guys they had wicked striking, right? But now their grappling and wrestling is just getting so much better. Like you can see it, you know. Like oh, you know, like they'll do something or something like that. And you're like, wow, shit, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. It wasn't. It's not like they were bad to begin with. They were all right to begin with, but now it's just the level is a different level now, you know. So and all around that just makes it good for us, for all of us as a team. We have we have a guy who's fighting next month in September for a title. You know, a lot of big fights, and you know, it's just as much as this sport is an individual sport, it's also a team sport. You know, so good bunch of guys, and like I'm enjoying it. You know, training as a team with all these guys. We're growing together. We're learning together. We're getting better together. So that's what's important, man. At the end of the day.
By the end of the year, you might have a few titles hanging up at the gym.
Woo! Yeah, man. Imagine that. Take one of those photos with a double title around, you know? It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. Thinking about it. Oh shit. You see those on Facebook and everywhere.
For sure. All right,
Yeah.
Mehmosh, August 26th, Angeles. Is it Angeles City, Philippines?
A- Angeles City. I think it's the Mega Center, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. It's like Mega Center, Angeles City, Manila. Um, come one, come all, man. You know.
That's right. Aspera
Yeah.
FC Asia, the first event. You'll be the main
Yep.
event.
Yes, sir. The main event. The
Featherweight title.
bearded white guy. Yes.
The featherweight title is on the line. It's going to be a big fight for you. Like you said earlier, you want to go back to the
Yep.
Philippines and pick up that win and take your belt back to your gym and show everybody, what a
Bring it
champion looks like.
home. Exactly. Bring it home, you know? I'm looking forward to it. The bearded white guy is back, but his beard is a little bit shorter this time. I'm working on it. I have 2 weeks. Wait for me.
All
Gonna
right,
be
man. Moose,
fun.
thanks for your time, man, and good luck to you on your fight.
Thank you so much, brother.
Kumite Radio is brought to you by Supplement Warfare. Visit their website, supplementwarfare.com.au, for the best quality supplements on the planet. Use coupon code Kumite Radio at checkout to get 10% off of all orders. If you're trying to get sexy for the summer, if you're just trying to flex on fools, visit supplementwarfare.com.au for the best supplements in the world. Use coupon code Kumite Radio at checkout to get 10% off and support the podcast.